to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Finally here to get my 2017 NFL Draft Round 1 grades. But don't worry, okay? If you're looking for team-specific draft recaps, those will start probably on Wednesday. But for now, let's talk about Round 1, and then I will get into team-specific draft recaps again on Wednesday. Let's start with the first pick, the Cleveland Browns drafting Myles Garrett. And before I start with that, actually, let me define my grading system as best as I can. First of all, I'm a generous grader because, first of all, I hate when my professors, okay, give me the bad grades that they do. And second of all, this is the NFL draft. It's so uncertain. We really don't know anything. As long as you feel a need and the pick can make somewhat sense, you're going to get at least a C from me. You know, giving D's and F's, I don't buy into that. So I'm a pretty generous grader, okay? So with that said, if you do exactly what I would have done, you're either going to get an A or an A+. If there's something else I might have done, you're getting like an A-. If the pick was good, but you could have done better, you get like a B. And if the pick was really not so good, you get like a C or a C+, maybe a C-, pretty much at worst. If you take an absolute buffoon, like last year when the Cardinals took Robert Nkemdiche, you'll get a D+. And I gave them a D+, and I stick by that grade. Maybe it should have been an F. You can argue now it should have been an F, but there's still some potential. I mean, at the time, there was potential with this kid, so that's why I gave it a D+. So with that said, and I also give a D+ for the Jets taking Christian Hackenberg last year. If there's something that dumb, that will be the case. But actually, this year I have not seen a really dumb pick, so you're not going to see that from me. So we start with number 1 overall. Cleveland Browns take defensive end Myles Garrett. And again, if there's nothing else I would have done, guess what you get? An A. The Browns get an A. He's going to be a great player for them for years to come, as long as they can, you know, fix up some problems that he has. And one thing that I'm seeing with this Browns draft, and it actually kind of concerns me, because it's the Browns, and because right now they don't have a very good coaching staff in place. I do like Hugh Jackson in terms of being a manager of the game, in-game management, putting his team in the best position to win, mostly. I mean, I don't know why he benched Cody Kessler when they were on, like, Thursday Night Football. But they need to refine these players that they're taking. They're not really taking pro-ready players. I mean, Myles Garrett is. But guys like David Njoku, Roderick Johnson, Larry Ogunjobi, what's his name? Caleb Brantley, who they took in the 5th round or 6th round. These guys need molding. Do the Browns currently have the coaching staff in place to get that done? Like last year, they took a bunch of the same guys like Corey Coleman, who needed molding, didn't really change much to me. He's like the same guy he was coming out of Baylor. He hasn't improved to me. Other guys that they took like Spencer Drongo, Sean Coleman, a bunch of guys that need molding, and I'm not sure if the Browns are the team that can do that, but whatever. Myles Garrett is the most likely, okay, to be good, obviously, because he was the first prospect, the number 1 prospect. So I'm sure he will be good for them, but I want to see what this, when it comes to this Browns draft class, can they mold these guys? Because, you know, a lot of these guys that they took need molding. We'll see if they can get it done. The Chicago Bears trade up to number 2 overall. They select quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, and you're not going to hear this pick being absolutely killed by me. You can go to Stephen A. Smith for that. Personally, I mean, it's not great, but I understand why they did it. First of all, Mitchell Trubisky was my number 1 quarterback in this 2017 NFL draft. Okay, so the Bears just got, to me, the best quarterback in this draft. So I like that. Now, they gave up 2 third-round picks, 1 for this year, 1 for next year, and a 4th rounder, I want to say for this year, for this spot, you know, to move up 1 spot. You know, that's not very smart to me, but at the same time, if Mitchell Trubisky proves to be a franchise quarterback, who cares about 2 third-round picks and a 4th-round pick, right? If he proves to be that guy. And again, to me, they got the best quarterback in this class, so I give it a B. You know, I don't think it's that bad, man, and I'm encouraged by Trubisky, and I like the fact that he's not going to have to play initially. John Fox is a guy that's going to stick to his guns when he says, hey, I'm not playing Trubisky. He's not going to play Trubisky. I believe him. You know, maybe not for the whole year, but for like 8 games at least, sure. And I think Trubisky can then come in and find success as long as the Bears can find some sort of wide receivers, because right now, to me, they don't have wide receivers outside of Cameron Meredith, Kevin White, if he's healthy, but he's not going to be healthy. So, you know, Bears right now have some issues. I will not play Trubisky all year, but he's going to have to come in probably mid-year. third overall pick, 49ers now, and they select defensive end Solomon Thomas. I was mocking this, since like March. I saw this coming a mile away. They took him good. It's an A. There's nothing else I would have done. He was my second overall prospect in this draft. I love the pick. They get an A. Nothing else I would have done. Number 4 overall, Jacksonville Jaguars select running back Leonard Fournette. I also give it an A. Nothing else I would have done. You want to alleviate the pressure off of Blake Bortles, take Leonard Fournette. They took Leonard Fournette. It's an A for me. He's going to be a great running back. Unfortunately for me, because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. Number 5, speaking of the Tennessee Titans, we have the Tennessee Titans taking wide receiver Corey Davis. I've talked about this a bunch, but really quick, I like the pick, okay? He's going to be a great receiver for them. Now, I might have taken Jamal Adams or Mahomes and Lattimore, but outside of those two, there's no one else I would have taken, so they get an A- from me. He's going to be great for them. Number 6 overall, New York Jets select strong safety Jamal Adams out of LSU. And by the way, all these grades are down in the description box below. Just take strong safety Jamal Adams. Love the pick. Okay, this guy was like number 3 on my big board. I think he's one of the 4 elite talents in this draft, and the Jets pick him up at number 6 overall. So they get the rare A+. And an A+ is reserved for picks that, first of all, there's nothing else I would have done. And it's beautiful because you got a guy of tremendous value. And I think they got really good value here at number 6, getting a guy that could end up being the best player from this draft and future Hall of Famer. It's very possible with Jamal Adams. I love Jamal Adams. Number 7 overall, we had the Los Angeles Chargers selecting wide receiver Mike Williams out of Clemson. Initially, I gave this grade a B-, but now I think it's only a C+, man, because I keep looking at this Chargers depth chart. And I know we keep assuming that Keenan Allen will be injured, and maybe you're right, man. But if he's not, I don't see any way Mike Williams is better than the 3rd best wide receiver on this roster this year, throughout the whole year. And he's going to have to play outside. Like, he is not a slot wide receiver. So, I mean, he's going to have to beat out Tyrell Williams. And you still have Travis Benjamin, who's going to come on the field and try to take the top off the defense, because Keenan Allen, although he's very good, really doesn't do that. That's not his type of game. And neither is Mike Williams, and neither is Tyrell Williams, although Tyrell can, leap up and get some balls down. I don't get the pick, man. I really don't understand it. I don't like it because, again, I'm not sure how much value Mike Williams is going to have. I don't think he's going to surpass 800 receiving yards this year or next year until they get rid of Keenan Allen and probably another wide receiver, Tyrell Williams or Travis Benjamin. I'm just not sure what kind of value he's adding to the team. I'm not sure he's adding any value to the team. It's not like Phillip Rivers is going to throw for more passing yards this season because they added Mike Williams, or that his job is going to be easier. I mean, it'll be a little bit easier, but not enough easier to me to justify this pick, taking Mike Williams at number 7 overall. I'm not sure enough value was added to this team today for the LA Chargers, or not today, but when they took him in the draft. To me, it's a C+. I really don't like this pick for the Chargers. I don't think he's adding enough value to this team. I thought there was more value to be added if they would have took a guy like Malik Hooker or Marshawn Lattimore or Jonathan Allen, adding serious value to the defensive side of the football. We move on to number 8 overall, Carolina Panthers select running back Christian McCaffrey. And I'm conflicted with this pick. I like Christian McCaffrey a lot. I mean, I had him as my 13th overall prospect on my big board. I was higher on him than others were early in the process back in December or January, but then people started catching up, and then they surpassed me as they ended up liking him more than me. I like him. I like his fit in this offense in terms of the running game. I mean, they run a lot of things similar to what Stanford ran. I think he's going to have success there. In terms of the passing game, I don't know exactly, because Cam Newton, he does not throw with touch at all. I mean, Cam Newton just loves, throwing fastballs at guys. And Christian McCaffrey, he doesn't need, but when you're trying to throw to him, you want to throw with some touch and some accuracy. So I question that fit. Christian McCaffrey would be great with like a Marcus Mariota or a Alex Smith, or a guy that, throws more touch. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who can throw with both touch and power. Cam Newton just hauls it, So I question that a little bit, and it's a little bit of a reach for me, so I can only give this pick a B. Number 9 overall, Cincinnati Bengals select wide receiver John Ross out of Washington. And I like this pick as well. But, again, I question the fit with the quarterback. If these 2 picks were swapped, actually, it'd be very good. It'd be very good. As you could give John Ross to Cam Newton, let Cam Newton just haul the football down the field. John Ross can run under it, okay, and then run for the touchdown. And Andy Dalton could throw touch to Christian McCaffrey. But then we swapped them, right? And can Andy Dalton throw the ball with enough power, with enough strength, for John Ross to run under it. I hated watching John Ross film because of Jake Browning. Jake Browning, the quarterback for Washington, refused to, my God, he refused to throw the ball in front of John Ross. Every single time, John Ross had to damn near stop in his tracks and wait for the ball to get there, and then he had to dodge people and then run to the end zone instead of just waltzing under the football and then running to the end zone. Hopefully Andy Dalton doesn't do that, but hey, the Bengals needed someone to take the top off the defense, and I do believe John Ross will do that for them. So I am encouraged by this pick, but I question the fit with the quarterback, so I can only give it a B+. We move on to number 10 overall. Kansas City Chiefs select quarterback Patrick Mahomes as they trade up with the Buffalo Bills, and I like this move by the Chiefs overall, you know, making a stand saying, hey, we're tired of getting knocked out in the playoffs. We want to make a stand for a franchise quarterback. We're done with Alex Smith. You know, eventually, Alex Smith will still start initially, but probably by midseason, or maybe even next season, probably by midseason this season, Patrick Mahomes will be the starter, and I love it. Alex Smith only threw for 15 passing touchdowns this season, less than one passing touchdown per game. That's pathetic, dog. He's never been their franchise quarterback, and now they finally have one in Patrick Mahomes, who I like. He was my second overall prospect. No, not second overall prospect. Second quarterback prospect in this 2017 NFL draft. So I'm encouraged by this pick, and I give it a B+. Only reason it's only a B+ is because still a bit of a reach for me, even for a quarterback, and you gave up a first rounder next year, which is pretty hefty price to pay. You know, and you have to, right? You're coming from 27, so I understand that, but I can only give it a B+. We move on to number 11. New Orleans Saints get a great pick in Marshawn Lattimore, a guy that should have been picked at least top 7, top 8. He falls all the way down to number 11, so the Saints get the rare A+. He'll be a great cornerback for them, and finally, the Saints, to me, will have a lockdown cornerback in Marshawn Lattimore. We have number 12 overall. The Houston Texans trade up with the Cleveland Browns, and they select quarterback Deshaun Watson. And I'm not going to hate on this pick because I'm a Texans hater. Not really a Texans hater, but look, I don't love the pick. I've been on the record for a while, since like January. I don't love Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's very good. Okay, he's a guy that's going to flat out miss wide receivers. He's a guy that runs a little too much for me. He's a guy that needs to put on a little more size to me. I love his intangibles, love his leadership, love his head. I love his motivation and whatnot. He's a guy that comes from a rough upbringing, so he's going to give it all he has, but I think in 6 years, he's not going to be starting anymore. I think he's just that prototypical flame-out quarterback who starts out decent. This year he's going to be decent, you know, probably like 20 touchdowns to like 12 interceptions. You're like, hey, he's decent, but then he never improves upon that stat line, ever. Like, he never improves upon that stat line. He has that stat line over and over and over for the next 5 years, and then by that time, you're going to be like, that stat line isn't good enough anymore. See ya. You know, I think that's what we're dealing with Deshaun Watson. I can only give it a C+. I understand the Texans needed a quarterback, but man, once Mahomes and Mitchell Trubisky were off the clock, Kaiser was my number 3 quarterback. I would have stood at 25 and took him, or, you know, took him in the second round. I'm not a fan of Deshaun Watson at all. I don't know what to tell you. We move on to 13, Arizona Cardinals. They take inside linebacker Hassan Reddick out of Temple. Really like the pick. I gave it an A- only because I would have probably taken Malik Hooker or Jonathan Allen here. You know, you lost Calais Campbell in free agency. Jonathan Allen would have been a nice fit there to me. Also, Malik Hooker, you could have took there, and you took Budda Baker in the second round, so hey, you ended up filling that free safety need anyway, but I would prefer to take one of those two guys, but I think Hassan Reddick's going to be very good for this Cardinals team. And I love their linebacking core, man, as they have Deion Buchanan, who comes down in that linebacking core every now and then. They have outside, they have Chandler Jones and Marcus Golden. This Cardinals team, man, and now they have Budda Baker at free safety. They keep this defense pretty stockpiled. I mean, they've lost some guys over the last couple of years. They lost Tony Jefferson this year, lost Calais Campbell this year, but I like that they're stockpiling their defense, but their offense over the upcoming years is going to need some rebuilding once Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer are done. Carson Palmer quicker probably than Larry Fitzgerald, but Fitzgerald time is coming as well, as is Jermaine Gresham, honestly. And they're going to have some work to do offensively to fix this team, but at least have David Johnson offensively. 14, you have Philadelphia Eagles. They select outside linebacker Derek Barnett out of Tennessee. Actually, he's defensive end because they're running a 4-3. And I love the pick, actually. I love the pick, and I'm not sure why Eagles fans don't like the pick. Well, first of all, Eagles fans, here's your problem. This is a lot of people's problem, so it's not just you, but you know, this is a lot of y'all's problem. Y'all keep finding like 2 players. Like, for example, I'm not calling him out, but EDP445. So he found 2 players, Reuben Foster and Joe Mixon. He's like, I want one of these 2 players. If we don't get one of these 2 players, I'm going to be pissed. That was literally his policy. That's a terrible policy to have. You need to find 10 players. Honestly, when you're picking the middle of the first round or late in the first round or in the second round, you need to find 10 players that you are okay with taking. Because if you're finding 2, do you know how likely it is that you're going to be pissed off tomorrow? You're going to be very pissed off by the time your team picks. You need to find like 10 players. And if you would have looked for 10 players, you would have found Derek Barnett being one of them. A guy who was great in college. Now, some of his, traits, you question if they're going to translate to the next level, but I think he's going to be an A-plus sack guy. You put him opposite of Brandon Graham. I think he's going to find success. I love the pick. And Eagle fans, y'all are going to love Derek Barnett in a couple years. I'm telling y'all, y'all are going to love him. I give this pick an A. We move on to the Indianapolis Colts, selecting Malik Hooker out of Ohio State. Love the pick, and I hate the pick because I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, but, man, it's a great pick, man. Malik Hooker falls all the way down to 15, right into the Colts' hands. And whereas you can argue why teams, passed on Jonathan Allen and, some other injury-riddled guys, the thing with Malik Hooker's injury is it's a shoulder hernia injury, right? It's not something that's chronic. It's not something that's long-term. It's just, hey, this is injury. He may not play at the beginning of the season, but he should be back for training camp. He should be. We'll see what happens. It's not like Jonathan Allen to where you question, hey, in 5 years, will this guy still be playing? So I love the pick by the Indianapolis Colts. It's an absolute A+ for me. We move on to 16. Baltimore Ravens. They select cornerback Marlon Humphrey out of Alabama, and I love the pick, man. I'm not sure why many people aren't talking about Marlon Humphrey. I think he's the second best cornerback in this draft class. He'll prove to be the second best cornerback in this draft class, unless if somebody, sneaks up like a Quincy Wilson or hopefully an Adoree Jackson. I think he's great, man. I think he's great. He needs to get his head around and look for the ball a little bit more, but, man, he's physical in the run game, makes an impact in the run game, sticks to wide receivers, just needs to get his damn head around. I give this pick an A. I mean, honestly, give it an A. Minus, actually, because I may take Jonathan Allen. And now, speaking of Jonathan Allen, Washington Redskins select defensive end Jonathan Allen out of Alabama. And I give this pick an A. Now, not an A+ because there is some worry here. If all these teams passed up on Jonathan Allen, man, there must be something wrong with his medical reports. So that does concern me, so I can only give it an A. But, man, it's an A because, I mean, this is a player that I had ranked as 7th on my big board, so I wasn't like top 5 like some people, but, man, he's so talented. And he's going to find success in the NFL. You guys lost Chris Baker off your defensive line this year. You needed a defensive lineman more than anything, and you got one in Jonathan Allen. Y'all got lucky, man. I thought y'all were going to be so screwed at this position. Now you put in Jonathan Allen, and there's still no one opposite of him. I mean, I don't care about Matt Ioannidis and these other guys, but at least now you had Jonathan Allen there. It's an A. Great pick by the Redskins. 18, Tennessee Titans select cornerback Adoree Jackson. I've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm not going to talk about it more, but it's a C+ for me. I mean, he'll be a great special teams man. But, man, even when I was looking at the film even more over the weekend, I don't love this pick at all. I think he's not going to be a very good cover corner in the NFL. Gave up a bunch of touchdowns at USC. And, yeah, I don't love the pick at all for the Tennessee Titans. We move on to 19. Tampa Bay Buccaneers select O.J. Howard, tight end out of Alabama. Love the pick. Great pick. As they compare O.J. Howard with Cameron Brate, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and now Chris Godwin. This Tampa Bay Bucs receiving core looking a lot better. Now, hopefully, this is one of those 3 years, right? Every 3 years, every 1 out of 3 years, Doug Martin has a good year. Okay, so hopefully this is this year. If that's the case, man, you're talking about the Bucs now, to me, being a serious playoff contender. Love what the Bucs did, taking O.J. Howard, pairing him with the other guys in this Bucs receiving core that has gone from an absolute weakness to now a strength on this football team, or at least over time. You have to give these rookies at least 1 year to get their feet wet. But even, year 1, O.J. Howard should have like over 600 receiving yards. We look at 20, Denver Broncos select offensive tackle Garrett Bowles out of Utah. Nothing else they should have done, man. They needed a left tackle. They got a left tackle. And, yeah, there's nothing else should have done. I mean, I would have preferred they maybe kept Russell Okung in free agency, but, hey, you made up for it. You got Garrett Bowles here. I don't think he's a great left tackle. Let me be clear. I don't think he's a great left tackle. I think he's only going to be average. But, hey, you got a left tackle, and you needed one. We move on to 21. Detroit Lions select inside linebacker Jared Davis, or Jared. I think it's just pronounced Jared Davis out of Florida. I give it a B+. I like the fact that they took a linebacker. I like that. It was a bit of a reach for me. I liked him at the end of the first, and this is pretty much mid-first. I mean, you could argue it's end of the first, but I think it's mid-first. So it's a little bit of reach for me, but overall, I like the pick. I give it a B+, and he's going to help their linebacking core, which has needed severe help. Stephen Tulloch just retired. Kyle Van Noy was a complete bust, and DeAndre Levy cannot stay healthy to save his life. So great pick there. Not great pick there, but pretty good pick there by the Detroit Lions. Look at 22, Miami Dolphins select defensive end Charles Harris out of Missouri, and I like the pick. I really like the pick, actually. I won't say I love it. I don't give it quite an A. There's some other things I would have done. Like, I prefer Carson McKinley over Charles Harris. I prefer Taco Charlton over Charles Harris. But Charles Harris is pretty good. So, overall, I give the pick a B+. But they could have gotten an A- or an A from me if they would have took Taco Charlton or Carson McKinley, because I just like those other guys more. I think they have higher upside. And I think Charles Harris is more prolific in college, but I think those other guys have higher upside and they have better traits that translate to the next level. But the Dolphins needed a defensive end, and they got a defensive end. I really like the Dolphins, what they did this draft defensively. I think they really helped their defense, really built their defense, so I like that. 23, New York Giants select tight end Evan Engram, and I really like this pick, actually, man. I really like it. I give it an A-. I had Evan Engram over David Njoku, and I'm surprised, but I'm happy that the Giants agree with me. Evan Engram possesses more upside to me. I know that's surprising to say because everyone loves David Njoku, but Evan Engram has a lot of Jordan Reed to him, man. And now you have yet another weapon for Eli Manning and this New York Giants team. I can't wait to see what Evan Engram does his rookie season. Very encouraged by this pick, and I give it an A-. Only reason it's not an A is I might have taken running back Dalvin Cook here to help alleviate the offense a little bit, but they didn't, so that's fine. We move on to 24. Oakland Raiders select cornerback Garrett and Conley. And before the draft, I was actually not the biggest Garrett and Conley fan. I had him as a late first, early second round guy. I had him, I want to say, as the 4th or 5th corner. So I was never a big Garrett Conley fan. I mean, he's pretty good, but I don't think he's as great as some people believe. But it's a good pick. I mean, overall, it's a good pick, but there's some risk here as well. You know, he could never play. You know, if he gets convicted for this rape stuff and this rape allegation that's been levied against him, he can never play. And I know everyone believes he didn't do it. I don't know that, and really, you don't know that. I mean, we've heard that, okay, she's lying or whatnot, but just in case, you know, there's some risk attributed here, so I can only give this pick a B, but it could prove to be better than that. But I like the fact that they went corner. I thought they should have went corner. We move on to 25. Cleveland Browns select strong safety Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. And a lot of Browns fans like the pick, but this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Jabril Peppers is a guy that currently needs a lot of refinement to me. A lot of refinement. I think you're getting a guy here that's a very talented high school recruit. I don't think he improved much in college at all. He's a guy that they threw at linebacker, threw at cornerback, threw a strong safety, and he would just do kind of whatever he wanted, and he really didn't do anything very well. I think he kind of takes poor tackling angles. I think he possesses nice upside. Like, he can get some sacks. He can make some plays. You know, he's going to be a great kicker or punt returner if you put him there, but he needs refinement to me. Are the Browns, you know, is their coaching staff talented enough to get it out of him? I'm not sure about that, man. So that's why I'm concerned when it comes to this Browns draft class. And it's not just him. It's other guys, like I said, like Ari Ogunjobi, who the Browns picked up, I want to say, in the 3rd round. Caleb Brantley, who the Browns picked up in the 5th round. Roger Johnson, who the Browns picked up in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round. I'm concerned, can they, you know, really refine these guys? Because they didn't do it last year. You know, I didn't see them improving Corey Coleman, Ricardo Lewis. I didn't see them improving any of those guys. None of those guys improved. None of those guys really contributed. Emmanuel Ogba was all right, but they really didn't improve him. So are they good enough to coach these guys? That's my concern when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. You know, right now, I don't love this pick. I can only give it a B-. I had Jabril Peppers like mid-second round, so it's a reach to me. I see the upside, but are the Browns the team to get it out of him? We'll see. 26, Atlanta Falcons select defensive end Takars McKinley out of UCLA, and I love the pick. Nothing else I would have done. I love this pick. I love Takars McKinley, love his upside, love his effort. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's going to give absolute effort, willing to learn, put him opposite of Vic Beasley on this defensive line. The Falcons know what they're doing lately, dog. I think they're building a perennial powerhouse now in the NFC. It just depends year to year what Matt Ryan is going to give you. But man, the Falcons are drafting well lately. We move on to 27. Buffalo Bills select cornerback Tre'Davious White out of LSU. And I like this pick. I like Tre'Davious White. I liked him more than Garrett and Conley. Liked him more than Adoree Jackson and some other cornerbacks that went before him. Actually, no, those are the only cornerbacks that went before him. So I like them. I like him better than those two cornerbacks. And I like the pick. Now, I did not love the Bills trading back all the way to 27. I thought that was a little too much for me. Now, you did pick up the first rounder for next year from the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Chiefs will likely be a playoff team, or at least close to a playoff team, so we'll see how valuable that pick proves to be. So for that reason, I give it an A-. But is there anything else I would have done? Not really. Maybe Quincy Wilson, actually, who I preferred over Tre'Davious White, but other than that, the Bills, I thought, did a good job here. We look at 28, Dallas Cowboys selected defensive end Taco Charlton out of Michigan, and I love the pick. Nothing else I would have done. I liked him better than Takaris McKinley, liked him better than Charles Harris, who went before him, and they got him here at 28. I think the Cowboys are going to mold this guy into something. Now, there are some concerns that it currently has some other left defensive ends, like some taller, lengthier defensive ends, like DeMarcus Lawrence, and how he's going to fit there. They could have used, a skinnier guy, more of an edge finesse guy, like a right defensive end, prototypical right defensive end. But to me, I don't care. I think Taco Charlton is going to find success. I love the pick. I gave it an A. We move on to 29. Cleveland Browns via the Green Bay Packers, who traded out. They select tight end David Njoku out of Miami. And again, this is a guy that needs some refinement to me. Okay, he needs some refinement to me. Are the Browns, the coaches have to get it done? I don't know, but I do like Njoku, and I always thought he was a little overrated. I think this is pretty much where he should have gone. There may have been some other players that I would have preferred them taking over Njoku. But overall, I like this pick. I give it a B+. We move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers taking outside linebacker TJ Watt out of Wisconsin. Love the pick. Almost nothing else I would have done. It's a great pick to me. They need an outside linebacker opposite of Bud Dupree. And even Bud Dupree isn't great. So now they get to upgrade their outside linebacking core. They lost Jarvis Jones in free agency. I don't think that they care. Or maybe they re-sign him. I really don't care. He's not great. They need an outside linebacker, and they got one here in TJ Watt, who, if they can refine him, will be a very, very, very good player. Move on to 31. San Francisco 49ers trade back up into the first round with their rival. Right? They trade up with the Seattle Seahawks, who traded down from 26 to 31, and then 31 to 34, then 34 to 35. They just kept trading back. Funny there. 31, so the 49ers, they select inside linebacker Reuben Foster, as I like to call him, Baboon Foster. Now, look, he has a lot of upside to him, man. This is a guy that performed well in college, but, man, there are some things about this guy's character and personality that concern me heavily, And I was listening to him after the draft, and he was talking about how he was actually on the phone with the New Orleans Saints, and then the 49ers called him, and he just hung up. And, some things about this guy just concern me. But, hey, he's a very talented football player and perhaps will be very good. I can only give it a B, though, because there is some risk here with him. There's some risk that he'll infiltrate your locker room and maybe be a little bit of a cancer. So I can only give it a B. But overall, it's a fine pick. And then 32, the New Orleans Saints select offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk. And I don't love this pick by the Saints, man. After getting a great pick at number 11 to me in cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, it's obvious, man. It's so clear, guys. Just draft damn defense. I remember a couple years ago they took Andres Pete. Okay, at number 12, they should not have taken Andres Pete. And what were we saying? Take damn defense. And I don't know why it's so hard for this team. They just keep getting their own way. Can y'all just draft defense now? You have some needs offensively. I mean, it's nice that last year you took Michael Thomas and he ended up being very good, but y'all need to fix your defense. You need to take linebackers, defensive ends, linebackers, and defensive tackles. I mean, that's it. Now, y'all need to be stockpiling on that. And now you take Ryan Ramczyk, and I know everyone's waiting for right tackle Zach Strief to retire. And perhaps that's going to happen in the upcoming years. But he's only 33. I'm not sure about that. And a couple years ago, he signed a 5-year deal. And it's a pretty cheap deal, like only $20 million. So I'm not sure why we're so eager to get rid of Zach Strief. And I'm not sure why the Saints refuse to draft defense when it's an obvious need for this football team, as they keep letting up 50 points. I mean, 40 points, 30 points, 30 points, 30 points. Remember that ridiculous game? Just keep thinking about this ridiculous game on Monday Night Football as the Saints let up how many points against the Atlanta Falcons? And what do they do with an opportunity with the first round pick in the draft? The last pick of the first round of the draft, they select damn offense again. I don't know why this team keeps getting in their own way. I mean, you are, to me, blowing this window for Drew Brees to win a championship. Can y'all just draft damn defense? And y'all drafted Stephon Anthony a couple years ago, and he hasn't been good, and he didn't play at the end of the season. So I don't know why the Saints keep doing this. I can only give this pick a B-. I like Ramczyk. I mean, he deserved to go despite he has good value, but I don't see the need. I mean, he will end up starting. Like, in 2 years, he'll probably be your starting right tackle. But I don't know why. It's so clear. Just draft damn defense. It's just so clear, and the Saints refuse to do it. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the 2017 NFL Draft. Round 1, my grades on round 1. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. And I'm out. Peace.